Welcome back to Rowing Friends, everyone. Today we have our special guest, Wendy Dorn, our coach from University of Buffalo from 1997 to 1999. We chat about and reminisce about all the fun we had and catch up on things that we're doing now. We hope you enjoy this conversation.
Oh my
I
gosh.
got my UB on.
Oh,
UB.
very
Oh
nice.
my gosh, me too.
I have a little rowing shirt on,
Oh,
nondescript rowing shirt.
yeah, I have God knows probably hand me down from one of the kids. God knows what I have on. How,
Hello.
how
This is so
are you?
exciting. You're our first guest.
Oh
I
my God.
know.
First guest ever. Oh my God. Look, first guest, first not first coach. First coach for Adrien, not first coach for Katie.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think my first UB coach though, or
Maybe.
maybe Alex was.
Alex,
Can't remember.
yeah. I can't
Mhm.
remember
Yeah.
where you and Alex like intersected.
hmm
Do you talk
Yeah.
to Alex at all? Do you ever talk to him?
No, but Lisa responds to some of my posts because her daughter is
Oh.
also rowing now, I think.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
group brought so many people together, I feel like.
Yeah. And now it's
Yeah.
bringing us all back together
All back
for
together.
this.
Get the band going back, get the crew back together, right? Like they say.
hmm
I know.
Yeah.
Get the band back together.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this goes with three of us and
We'll figure
I
it
don't know,
out.
Adrian and I wing it. So we don't really have like plans all the time and we do a pretty good job of not talking over each other and so
Right.
we'll have to see how the three person thing goes. So
The
thanks for
best
testing it
way.
out.
Absolutely. Best way. Just go for it and see what happens, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
I think we're
So,
already up to like, I think this might be our 14th recording.
yay.
Our 14th episode.
What made you start it? What made you decide to start this?
Yeah, you want to tell
Oh.
her, Adrian?
Well, I mean, I mean, I don't know now. Now that I kind of think about it, it just kind of naturally happened. We just kind of decided that, we wanted to talk about the rowing community, talk about what's going on with rowing,
hmm
talk about our experience, talk about UB and how
hmm
important it was to us, and talk about how rowing changes people's lives.
It
So,
does.
Yeah.
It does. Changes you
yeah.
forever. Because you can always compare everything in your life to rowing. You'd be like, it's not that
hmm
bad.
Hmm.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about doing it for like you had talked about it on our trip to Boston, right? We were
Hmm.
talking about your podcast for your business. And
Right?
then we were talking about, oh, it would be fun to do it together. And
Uh-huh.
then so that's how the idea started. And
That
we
was
just
way
kind of
back
started.
when. I mean, like
That
we
was a
didn't
while ago.
because when did we go get the boat? That wasn't last year. It was
No, it had to be
and it
at
wasn't the year
least two
before
years ago.
that, right? Was it 3 years ago?
Probably. Yeah.
Because it sat in my backyard for a while before I even fixed it.
hmm
So yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't believe you fixed a boat.
I know. It's just so
Well,
impressive. And then the
it was
ride
another
was very
UB
interesting.
connection because the only reason I knew the boat was there was because I went to a biomechanics course with Dave Casano. And
Mhm.
Dave brought his trailer from Syracuse. And I'm like, why'd you bring your trailer to Boston for like a seminar? And he's like, oh, I'm getting boats. I'm like, oh, what boats are you getting? How much is it going to cost you? And he's like, oh, they're free. I'm like, what? Because like CRI was doing like this turnover thing, like they had just started their contract, I think all their boats are Hudson's.
hmm
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
CRI, if I get that wrong.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, all their boats are like red Hudson's. And so all the boats that weren't that were being kind of given away, gotten rid of. And I had the dumpster double,
hmm
was sitting in a ditch underneath the snow. So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you have any smaller boats? Do you have a single? Do you have a double? Anything like that? And he's like, yeah, I got a double. It's in the ditch over there. You can't see it right now because it was wintertime. And when the snow thaws, you can come back and get it. And I'm like, okay. And so I like get in my minivan and I'm like, who can I call to help me with this? And Kate was it. I picked her up
Yeah.
in Albany on my way to Boston. We got there and we like kind of we I brought like every rope, every tie down, everything out of like my mom garage of keeping things safe and secure when you take something on the minivan. And we just like we learned how to do slip knots that day. Like
I can't say
Like,
that I still remember, but
I'm so confused of why was it in a ditch?
Well,
it was
it had
broken.
fallen, it was broken. So somebody dropped it on the dock and broke like right at the fin because like that's where like the rib was for like the little cap and everything. And so it split really clean right there. And like it was, I mean, it was completely apart. We had to tape it
Hmm.
together just to put
Hmm.
it on the car. And
Yeah.
then we drove it back to I drove Kate back to to like Albany, and then I drove back to my house and basically like
Hmm.
set it in the backyard until the snow thawed here, and then I repaired it. And you learn a lot about rowing shells and and why they keep them at boathouses because they're like way too large for like a normal like experience. Like it's just, I mean, you can't even I couldn't even put it in the garage. Like it doesn't fit in the garage even diagonal because I was like, oh, it'll fit in the garage diagonal. No, not so much. And
No.
like, yeah, yeah. It's a pain in the butt.
It's
So that's
not
why
it's
you keep
not
it
an
at a boathouse.
everyday item. It's not an item for everybody.
No, no. And you
No.
look absolutely weird driving on the throughway with a double on top of your car.
Yeah. No, you had a roof rack, but it definitely wasn't like meant
Mm-mm.
for boats or anything.
Yeah, it's not an official roof rack. It is like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
a
now
little
look at
mom roof
you.
rack. Like something that you
Hmm.
can like rig something up to, like you're gonna bring
Hmm.
something home for your kid and it's way too big. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And now you got a boat, you got a podcast. Where are you keeping this boat now that it's fixed?
Oh,
In a
it's at the
boathouse.
boathouse. It's
In a
it's
boathouse.
at
Okay.
our local boathouse. So
Okay.
Hmm.
yeah. So it has a real home, but I do have I have another boat. It's a single, and that's in my garage. That actually fits diagonal in the garage. So for note people, your single will fit diagonal in a garage potentially because the one part is like if you have the garage door and like the
Mm.
garage door has a track that kind of comes, and so that can be an issue. Like I have to, it's like kind of diagonal and more towards the front, and there's like this little alcove where the kids put their bikes, so I have to like put the stern into the alcove and then like lift it up and put, yeah, but it's perfect like when you don't need to take it down a
Sounds
bunch.
sounds it.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. That and my oars. My oars are in my garage. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's nuts.
Oh my gosh. Well, Coach Jim has moved on to coaching soccer. So now we just have soccer balls in the
Oh,
garage. He's coaching soccer for like 14 teams right now.
wow. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm sure he has a lot of ways that he can connect his coaching from rowing to to soccer.
Yes, for sure. For sure. For
What,
sure.
yeah, are either of you guys involved at all in rowing?
So we stayed involved until honestly till I had my first daughter. And
Hmm.
I will tell you what made me not stay involved. I'm not saying I'll never be involved,
Hmm.
but I found, and maybe it's my own personality, but I found that in order to row well in a way that feels good, you need to have a level of strength
Mm.
and skill, obviously, but
Hmm.
like a level of strength. And to maintain that level of strength, it
Yeah.
required me to not do anything else but rowing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I couldn't do yoga. I could
Hmm.
once I incorporated like a child into the mix, it was like, oh, if
Hmm.
you want to row, that's all you can do.
Mm.
That's it. Just rowing. Like no yoga, no running, no Pilates, no ballroom. Like that's it.
Hmm.
And so for a short period of time, I kind of stayed with it. And once we moved out away from the boathouses, I was like, I think I want to just put it on pause
Hmm.
and just do other things, and that will be there. And then one day I'll go back and I'll be part of a different rowing community than I was.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
was almost, I don't know how to say it. It was almost too painful to be part of the rowing community that I was part of, not participating in it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and my brain would like start to want me to do it. And I was like,
Hmm.
I can't, I have to like not do it because I
Yeah.
could get obsessed with it and then
Hmm.
I wouldn't do anything else.
Hmm.
Jim worked for a long time, but Jim is Jim. So he's my husband, and he's his way. But he got like frustrated trying to row with other people because if they weren't on
Yeah.
time, he got annoyed, and if they
Yep.
weren't, a lot of people had a lot more flexible schedule than him, and he'd get a little fussy. But
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to going back. I just felt
Hmm.
like I needed to like take a full break because I could still remember how it felt to row well and to
Hmm.
be so strong. And then if I was, and I was like, this feels terrible. This doesn't feel good.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? This doesn't feel like I remember rowing feeling.
Were
Yeah.
you rowing with Vesper? Was that the last team you rowed with?
So I
or was there another
rode.
one?
I came to Philadelphia. I was working with UB, and then
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go to graduate school. So I came to Philadelphia and I rode for Vesper.
Mm-hmm.
That was sweep rowing. I went over there and rode with them. But I was always like not a huge sweep rower. Like I was a small sweep rower in the
Mm-hmm.
world of sweep rowing. I was like a littler person. And so one of my friends asked me if I would do sculling with her. So I moved over to Undine
Mm-hmm.
and started sculling because that was a little bit more fitting for my size, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because I was never a lightweight, but I was always like 5'8", 150 pounds and like not much more to lose. And so sculling was like a little bit more finesse, I think, and I was able to be more successful in
Yeah.
sculling than rowing, I think. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Vesper was a good club and we did well, but like Undine, I think with our teeny tiny team, we would like win nationals every year. Like we just win the points trophy because we just won everything. But and I liked sculling better. I think I enjoyed like the delicateness of that versus that like really just like pounding of the sweep rowing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I ended at Undine. And
Okay.
then I would probably, I'd go back and join one of those old lady rowing groups for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be right in there. I'd be with those old ladies. And and I don't know. I mean, do you guys still row? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Adrian, Katie, do you still row?
Yeah, I row with a master's group. Yeah.
So there are people who have rowed and they have been rowing, and so they understand rowing, right?
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
do you row with anyone who's never rowed before?
Yeah, the majority of my team has never rowed, and they came to it. It's a team that is primarily for juniors, and the master's program always came out of the parents that wanted to learn how to do it. And
Okay,
it's
right,
it's I'd say it matches that, even though a lot of our current members aren't parents of current rowers, but of current junior rowers, but they're most of them, and it is interesting, right? Because we have a lot of them that find it later in life, and then they want to get to that the intensity, right? They're like, oh, and then they retire, and they're like, this is all I want to do. Like, I want to do this all day long, and I want to train. And it's like, I'm at that point where I'm just like, I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to be in a boat. I actually weirdly find the winter training to be a very happy place for me, which never was the case. I always hated that part of it, right?
right,
But because I don't have to, I can be in my own place when I'm on the erg, right? And I'm
right,
doing mine thing.
right, right,
And other people's, and I love rowing with other people. Like, don't get me wrong, and I know a lot of them listen to this, and I love rowing with them.
right,
But sometimes I hear like you know, it's hard. It's right. It's hard to
right,
row with people that don't know that side of it sometimes,
right,
right?
right.
It's just a different experience. So I do
Different.
enjoy kind of my own rowing in the single more than
Yeah.
not sometimes.
I felt like I just needed, like, for me, I needed a separation between them. I couldn't just go from one to the
Mm-hmm.
other
Mm-hmm.
because it was like it was too close. I needed it to
Yeah.
be separate. I needed to honestly probably forget how to row,
Yeah.
then just go back to it and be like, oh, now I'm just gonna have fun. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because otherwise I'd be like, oh well, if I just lifted twice a week, I could probably just like get myself just a little bit, and then I'd be obsessed, and then.
Yeah.
But and I would feel sad to not be rowing in a way that felt really good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it should be fun at age
Yeah.
50. It should be a fun time, and everyone should be able to
Mm-hmm.
do it, and that's what it should be. And
Exactly.
and so and you should be able to do it even if that's you only just show up and row twice a week, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's almost
Yep.
like I needed to forget a lot of it to make it be something I might enjoy later. And I tell people always ask you, do people ask you if you read The Boys in the Boat? Do people ask you that all the time?
Of
Oh, did you
course.
read The Boys in the Boat? I couldn't read it. I had to put it down. I couldn't read it.
Oh, well,
It
it
was like
is heartbreaking,
it was
but
like too close. Like the training part. I was reading about the
oh yeah.
training and it was like
Yeah.
too close. It was like giving me a reaction that I was like, I don't know what this reaction is, but
Mm.
I don't like this reaction. It's like
Oh my
making me
gosh.
miss the training part. I always love training.
Mm-hmm.
I love the training
Mm-hmm.
part.
Mm-hmm.
I like the racing the least. I like racing the least. I like the
Interesting.
training the best. I like the
Yeah.
regimen and kind of I liked how you could plan it out and it would like give you a result. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was like very organized. But the reading that book was too much reminding me of that, and I was like, it's making me feel unhappy, and I don't know why. So I'm
Mm.
just gonna put it away and not read it again. I did like
Yeah.
lessons in chemistry. That I could read
That,
that.
yeah.
That had
Yeah.
rowing in it, and I could do
Yeah.
that one. That one was okay
Yeah.
for me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah. And actually, because we have two daughters and they both play sports, but they played soccer. So I ended up coaching
Mm,
soccer because
hmm
just the nature of it. Although I talk a
hmm
lot about coaching soccer versus coaching rowing because I teach nursing now. So I'm a nursing teacher.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
Yep.
a nurse practitioner, and then I teach in the nursing program. And I
hmm
tell students like coaching, rowing, or running, it's like that's easy. It's a line.
Mm,
I can make a plan, and the only variables are going to be like the wind, maybe the current.
hmm
Like it's a straight line. I can be like, I'm going to do this, and this is what you're going to do, and you're going to follow that plan, right? And that's the plan, and it's like point A to point B, and I can predict kind of how that's going to go. Soccer is like being a nurse, and
mm,
there's all these variables moving, so I can't tell you what to do. I have to teach you to follow a pattern, you know what I
hmm
mean? Like I have to teach you to like match the pattern and make a decision based on the pattern. Or like, so to
Hmm.
me it's like just a, I don't know, it's rowing was, I like the organization of it. It was like very regimented and very organized, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this workout every other week, and I'm gonna measure it, and I'm gonna, you know
hmm Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, I always thought rowing with coaching, it's more, I think you can use a lot with like the psychology of it, right? And then the team aspect, obviously,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, because you don't have as many variables, but what you do have is you have the dynamics within the team
Yeah.
and like putting combination of people together and then like figuring out how to make that work and make
Yes.
everybody work best together.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the hardest part. That's
hmm
actually the part that I don't know if you can learn. I don't know how to learn that part. I don't know
Yeah.
how to learn that part. That part's hard.
Because
It
there's
is
a lot,
hard.
I mean, especially like in high schools,
hmm
colleges, like there's that whole dynamic of putting people together for a very
hmm
long time to do one particular goal, and someone annoys someone and they sit
Mhm.
close enough for, yeah,
hmm
it can become,
Uh-huh.
and
Yep.
then put competition on top of that. I always think of like
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
a good way to ruin your team. I think I've mentioned this to Kate, get a bid to the head of the Charles. Like that's a great way to
Mm.
ruin your team. Like
hmm
make everybody mad, make everybody
Yep.
urge past a bunch of times, tell people they aren't good enough to be on the
Yes,
boat. Like this is like a great way
Yeah.
to just like
of
totally destroy
course.
your team.
Yeah, of course. And like add an early morning and a lot of
Yeah.
pain. And
hmm
like, what are we doing? Like I have to convince people to do like really painful things for each other and for themselves,
Yeah.
and do them like at 5 a.m., like sounds
Yeah.
fun, right? And it's amazing how many people show up to join it too. It's crazy.
And you're trying to teach life lessons, but yet,
Right.
the fastest girl in the boat may be the one that misses practice the most and is
Most,
always
yeah.
late. And then you got one that's working her butt off that just doesn't have the skills, the strength, whatever it is to really justify putting in that boat. And then you're like, okay, what do I do?
What do I do? Yeah, what do I do with this? Like, how do I, and like,
Yeah.
then, yeah, it's a huge life lesson. I mean,
hmm
it's my daughter ran into that lesson right just recently for a volleyball tournament she was in. We overslept. My alarm didn't go
hmm
off. And she's a pretty strong player in that team. And
hmm
we got there in 11 minutes from that phone call, but
hmm
I was like, "You're not going to play, you know that." She goes, "I know." And then I was pretty shocked they put her in, and I was like,
hmm
"I can't believe they put her in." I said, "Listen,
Yeah.
you need to apologize to your team, like
hmm
because your team, there are people who were hoping for that spot, and you came back in and took it, and you didn't
hmm
do what you were supposed to do. Like
Yeah.
you're the best player, you also need to be a leader because." People
hmm
are looking up to you, and like someone was really hoping for that spot, and as soon as you showed up they sat back down on the bench. So like you need to
Yeah.
apologize to your team because that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
And she did, and she understood, and
hmm
I mean it was a coaching decision, but
hmm
I don't know what I would have done in that
Yeah.
situation.
Right. And then you're playing the parent versus the coach armchair
Uh-huh.
quarterback too, right? And
Exactly.
there's a lot of
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
And at least in college, I have to say, for better or for worse, at least in college, the parents weren't involved.
I wonder if that's
Sometimes
still
they
the
would call.
case.
I know the parents who would call me. I still actually, even now, I still remember the parents who would call me, and I would just be like, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't talk to parents. Like
hmm
I can't even. It's a purple. Like I can't
Yeah.
talk to you. You have to. It has to be a different way. But the
hmm
parents really leave you alone. Where when they're young, the
hmm
parents still get involved. And
Yeah.
the parents in the ways are worse.
hmm
That's
But
the hard
as
part.
a parent, we're worse, right?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
we're so vested in like what your kid is doing, and like and being a competitive person yourself, you're kind of like, well, like why aren't they getting this opportunity?
hmm
They're ready to perform, put them in coach, that kind of thing.
hmm
And the coach
Yeah.
is like, no, not so much. And
Yeah.
hmm
it
trying
is
to balance
really
it.
hard to check. It's hard to check that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to we try to be pretty open about it in our conversations with our youngest. She's a pretty good athlete, and to say like, hey, this is my job is to set you up for opportunities, but I don't ever want you to do what you don't want to do. But like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to do it, I want to make sure you can. But like,
Mm-hmm.
then there becomes this line. Like today she's going to a recruiting combine in Harrisburg. We're leaving at 4:30. She wanted to go. I signed her up. And
Mm-hmm.
then she's like, well, I my friend wants to go to get frozen yogurt. And I was like, I already paid for it, bud. Like, I got a
Mm-hmm.
hotel. We're going to go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you chose it, but like, now we're going. So,
Yeah.
it's a tricky combination.
Yeah, definitely.
And she's way more driven, I think, than I ever was even. And
What?
I was
Oh,
pretty driven.
wow.
And she is like, she is
Wow.
next level. She's
Well,
next
watch
level.
out.
I
Wow.
know. She's next level. She's
That's
something else.
amazing.
She's I feel like it's interesting to watch her
Mm-hmm.
as a person who was an athlete, and they never want to hear what you did as a
Mm-hmm.
no kid wants to hear what their parents did, no
Mm-hmm.
kid cares, but sometimes I want to be like, I want to give her some advice or something, and she's like, oh, you don't even know, and I want to be like, you think I don't know? You think I don't know? Like, listen, sweetheart, if there's one thing I can do, I can get you here. Like I can make you stronger. You want me to make you
Mm-hmm.
stronger? I'll make you stronger. If that's what you
Mhm.
need. You want to jump
Yeah.
higher? I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a mom, but like if you want to jump higher, I'll help you jump higher. I don't
Yeah.
need to know about volleyball to do that.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my secret plan when I coached you guys. You know that? That was
That we
my
could jump higher.
secret plan. I don't know if I ever told you my plan.
No,
I had
I want to hear all of
We
this.
want to
I
hear
want to
it. We want to
hear
hear it.
all about the whole thing, how
Oh
you
my
got
God. Well, which
involved.
part? Where to start? How do I
Yeah,
get
where
start?
do
Where
we
do you want
start?
to start? Where should I start?
Well, I don't know. We have
How
time,
did you
but
become
go
head
ahead.
coach? Like,
Yeah,
did they
let's talk.
approach? How did that story
How did I
happen?
become? Oh my gosh, that story's kind of crazy. It sounds like I'm
Okay.
making it up. I graduated college, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor, but I wanted to do something in medicine, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I don't think I knew what nursing was at that time. I don't think I understood. So I was kind of just like, well, let me think about what it is I'm doing. I kind of felt like, oh, if I can't find the answer, I guess I'll just take the MCAT. But I don't want to do that. That's not what I think I want to do. And in the meantime, I was rowing for St. Catherine's,
Mm-hmm.
and Alex needed an assistant. So he asked me if I'd help. Me and Lisa were both his
Mm-hmm.
assistants. I think that they were definitely dating at the time for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we were his assistants. So we were just helping him out. And I think I was rowing a pair with Lisa. I can't remember anymore. But Alex kind of was born in Mexico, but his father's from Denmark and his
Oh
mother's
my
from
God.
Finland.
I
So
knew none of
Alex,
this.
yeah, Alex was born in Mexico, but his father is Danish and his mother is Finnish. His grandfather lived in Mexico, and Alex's father had kind of died suddenly on a business trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then his grandfather died suddenly not long after.
Oh my God.
And the story was that Alex had to go down to the family ranch. This is rich people problems. Alex had to go down to the family ranch in Acapulco and guard it so squatters didn't come take over.
Oh
That
boy.
is real.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So very suddenly, Alex was like, I have to leave.
Mm.
And you're in charge, so go ahead. So he just like left and I was in charge. I was like, oh, okay. So whatever. And I can't even remember, like maybe Jim was there with Chris Kreiser helping the boys. And
Mm.
at the time, the team had like gone from club to Division 1. So it was like a
Mm-hmm.
whole big transition. He kind of like had to go and do that. So, and he was gone for months. And then in the meantime, I think maybe he didn't come back. I can't remember. But in the meantime, then the season went on. We had a season. And then the next year, I was like, maybe I should apply for the job. I mean, it's kind of fun. I like it, but I feel like I would like to like start on my own terms because I inherited Alex's contract as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
Because Alex had done the job for pretty much for free for like 10 years, he was like,
Mm.
oh, you guys have you paying me this however many $1,000 and your budget's only $3,000. That's crazy. The budget should be $100,000 and you pay me 3,000. So I like inherited Alex's contract.
Hmm.
So I was like
Okay.
working as a waitress and like making,
Mm-hmm.
10 cents an hour and like, whatever. So it was fun. I loved it. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll apply for the job. Maybe I'll do it. So I did. I think I even applied to be like the assistant at the time. And I was like, maybe I'll just apply to be like the assistant. And then they hired me to do the job. And I was like, oh. this is crazy. This is nuts. And actually, the next year I was like, you shouldn't have me do this job again.
I'm trying to figure out where the timing is of this because I definitely remember Alex coaching, but I feel like it was in this fall, maybe, if he left. And then I
Oh,
remember you as our coach,
yeah.
but when did Meg take over? Was that my sophomore year or was that later?
So I must have graduated in college. I graduated college in 97. So
Okay.
then 98, I was Alex's assistant in the fall and I was the head coach in the spring. And then that was, so then
Okay.
99, I was the coach that year.
Okay. Okay.
And then, at that point I kind of figured out what I was going to do for graduate school and
Mm-hmm.
I was wanting to like row more competitively. So I've been rowing for St. Catherine's, but I got asked to come to Philadelphia and row for Vesper for like a pre-elite camp. And I was like, all right, I think I'm going to do that. And I went up to the administration. I was like, I'm not gonna like reapply. I want to let you know. I think I told them in April. Like I was like, I'm
Okay.
not gonna reapply for the job for next year. Our season
Mm-hmm.
goes till, May or whatever, but I'm not gonna reapply. And I think that's the best, definitely the
Mm-hmm.
best thing. Like I shouldn't do this. And I'm too young and I
Mm-hmm.
think it causes problems and ways that are I'll like go into that, but like it causes some problems in some ways. Mostly like getting people to listen to you
Hmm.
because people would just railroad over you, and if you fought it, they would like pick on you.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I don't think I'm the right person. I think you need a strong candidate for the job, and I'd be happy to like recommend people or whatever. So they did actually get a lot of people apply and went through all the resumes and was like, these are some great people for the job, but they didn't hire any of those people.
Mm. I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah. So you got Meg, and that was tough because Meg was kind of
Mm-hmm.
a puppet for other people. Meg
Mm.
was kind of like someone else's puppet. So, I don't think she's a bad person. She just actually
Mm-hmm.
was the most unqualified person to do that job
Yeah.
that they could have chosen.
Yeah.
But such is life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, being the coach was just definitely, I mean, it was super interesting and like really overwhelming because it was like all of a sudden you're like in this big machine of like Division 1 sports and recruiting and meetings and NCAA and plus 100 kids that come out in a school that doesn't understand rowing and doesn't quite know what it is and you're then not only are you thrown in that but that you're thrown into like the community of the NCAA, which was like I felt that it was a tough community to be like 22 years old in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like to be a 22-year-old woman and like walking into NCAA, there were some tough times there. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like,
Okay.
and I
Mm-hmm.
also had Joe, who I love Joe, but Joe is Joe and he has his
Mm-hmm.
opinions and
Yeah.
I was very much at the mercy of Joe to like whatever. So it didn't always go my
Yeah.
way. But,
No.
I don't have any hard feelings towards him. I was a young kid and he had
Mm-hmm.
done it forever and he started that program and, you know,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I was like 22, 23 years old. That's insane,
Yeah. That
right?
is insane. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I left, I
Wow.
moved to Philadelphia in 1999, like June of 1999 to start
Mm-hmm.
graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was it. I remember that, like all of that craziness. And it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was good. My plan though, I'll tell you hold on,
Oh, we lost you.
my plan though, I'll tell you my plan because, we had this recruiting budget, right? We had the
Right.
recruiting, we had kids coming in and I was like, okay, we have a lot of walk-ons with no experience. You were one of the few people that had experience, right? I mean, you were one
Mm-hmm.
of the very few people that had ever rowed before. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
we are not going to win on skill. We're just not.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have skilled rowers.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to win on fitness. That is what we are going to do. Because we are not going to win on rowing experience. So that
Mm-hmm.
our goal is going to be the fittest team there is, because that's what
Mm-hmm.
we can do that quicker than
Mm-hmm.
we can become like experienced rowers. So I
Right.
just worked you guys so hard.
Oh, well, that's so validating to hear now. I mean, it was
Yeah.
hard at the time, but I just figured
I'm
that
like,
was the
no,
way
This is
it
what rowing's
was.
like.
I worked you really hard because I was like, that's all we got. Like, that's what we got, That's what we got. I don't know. I can't make them have like rowed it for 4 years in high school. I just don't have it. So
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna just work really,
Yeah.
really hard
Mm-hmm.
and I had limited resources. So in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, if someone didn't show up, I just cut them. I was like, oh, they're cut. I can't. Like, there's 100 kids that come out for the team. What am I supposed to
Yeah.
do? I was like, I can't. Like, you're cut. Like, if you don't show up, you're cut. Like, it's
Yeah.
just what we do. You can try again next year.
Mm-hmm.
But it ended up working out. For the most part, the people who
Mm-hmm.
should have stayed, stayed,
Mm-hmm.
and the people who shouldn't have didn't. And
Yeah.
It worked out.
Good
And
strategy.
you guys were very, very fit.
We were.
I know the things I did to you. I know them. I know them. I know like the word. I know the low points. I know them.
Well, Wendy, I don't have any trauma from it, so you can
No,
rest
I
assured
remember
not
that
even
running
the day.
around
it was
the
good for
track a
us.
bunch, and I
Yeah,
remember the
The
stairs.
the
stadiums.
stairs, the
Oof,
Yeah.
stadiums,
that
the
was tough.
ladders. Remember the day I made you guys do a sweat run and run in the clothes from the boys' locker room to the football locker room?
Well, yes, but I always thought that was more self-induced because we were trying to, make weight, which was probably not the best, but,
Oh my
we
gosh.
survived. We made it
That
through.
lightweight experience. I mean, I still remember because of course I didn't have to I'm not a lightweight for those who are listening, I'm not. So never could have been. I remember I did the Bob Pod thing and it said that I was like 130 pounds worth of muscle and bone. I was like, look, I really can't be a lightweight.
Yeah.
But I
I'm not
remember you
light
guys
either.
starving yourselves. I
Oh,
remember the sweat
brutal.
runs,
Yeah.
the start like the worst was like on the tr like as we were traveling to somewhere, like
Hmm.
we would stop and
Yeah.
like the lightweights would all stay on the bus or
Oh my
all stay in
Go
the
God.
throw
van. Like
off.
they couldn't get
It was
out.
awful.
It was
And
terrible.
to be somebody who's typically in a good mood and then sitting in the van, everybody else is at Olive Garden, and I'm sitting in there with, I won't name names, but some really grumpy people. It was like
I know who you're
the
talking about.
closest thing to hell that I could think of.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
It is, and I remember. I don't know if you guys remember because it was like kind of, I mean, if it was on your radar, but there was during that time there had been a wrestler, a collegiate wrestler who had
Ugh.
died cutting weight.
Oh,
So they
Yeah.
were really coming down on his heart about cutting weight, and they were
Hmm.
watching my practices and everything else, and I had to show
Yeah.
what I was doing. So I decided that I would have you guys weigh in every week with like a
Hmm.
plan to lose like a half a pound a week. And if you didn't make weight, you just had to like run with me. I
Hmm.
think it was just a way to keep everyone like together on the same page
Yeah.
or something. But I don't know if I ever told you why I made you guys do that sweat run.
Why?
Because I walked into the locker room and I heard you guys talking and you guys didn't
Okay.
see me. And I heard someone say, I don't care what she says. She can make me run every day. I'm going to do it like I always do it. And I'm going to cut weight the last 2 weeks and I'll be fine.
Oh my God. I hope
And
that
I was
wasn't
like,
me.
I backed right up and I was like, ooh, we're gonna have to do something today. So
Yikes.
that's why I was like, okay. So I
Mm.
got those clothes from the boys' locker room. We all dressed up, we all ran, and then I made you do the 500-meter things, or maybe the thousands or something.
Gosh,
wow.
I don't remember any of this.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we ran. I was like, we're all gonna weigh. We're gonna get weighed. We'll get, and
Yeah.
we're gonna go weigh. We're gonna do a sweat run. And I pulled out
Yeah.
this big bag of clothes from the lost and found from the football
Ugh.
locker room.
Ooh.
And I was like, we're all
That's
gonna lose three
gross.
pounds, and we lost our 3 pounds. I was like, oh, but like let's just go downstairs, and we're gonna do 1,000 meters. And I had everything right. And I was like, and I gave you 4 centimeters, like I gave you 4 seconds off your last time, and so just like if you get within 4 seconds of that, just do 1,000 meters. You'll be done. We'll go home. But if you don't, you got to do another one, and I'll give you 4 more seconds. And I think by like the third, people were crying and crawling on the
Oh my
floor.
God.
Oh my
The
God.
director of athletics came in at that point and was like, "Do I need to intervene?" And I was like, "I don't think so, but I think like the lesson is being learned here."
Are you sure I was there? I don't remember any of this. I think I would remember this.
Because I remember you tied your hood really tight around your face like this, and you said, "I can do anything."
I do remember that. I do, yes.
Yes, I remember a lot of crying, and I was like, I don't know
Mm,
what else to do. I was like, I think I just feel like I need to like
mm,
make this impression on them that
hmm.
if they're suck weight, they're not going to be strong enough to
Yeah.
perform.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was a pretty tough day. That was a tough day.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
tough day.
It was interesting for sure.
Yeah, but like you had like a training plan made by
Yeah.
the guy who was like the trainer from like the Canadian national team. That was the plan
Wow.
that you guys followed.
Oh wow.
That was
Hmm.
you follow that plan. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
followed that plan that was based in like physiology of the Canadian national rowing team.
So, Wendy, were you there the year at States when we were supposed to race against Ithaca and they were our only competition and then they didn't show up? And then we
No,
had, oh, that must have been the year after. Okay. So, because we had no competition in the lightweight eight, so they made us row in the varsity eight because we didn't have a varsity eight. We had a
right,
varsity four.
right.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. And then
Yeah.
Ithaca didn't show up.
They didn't show up and I mean, whatever, rules are rules, but I think all of us felt like Come on, it's not our fault they didn't show up. Let us row in the JV8.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Were states just not a big thing? I mean, back in the day, they were like pretty busy. Like they were a popular regatta.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have that many teams that had lightweights or something in New York State.
Uh, yeah, that's a tough one. And sometimes like because those programs were going to be varsity programs, some of them were like in the NCAA type of
Yeah.
leagues at that time instead.
Yep.
That was like a big thing. And I don't know, although the NCAA at that point only had heavyweights. I remember that actually too. So that
Mm.
doesn't even make, maybe they rode open. Maybe they were lightweight, but they rode open.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Villanova usually did that because they
But they're
were,
not, yeah, they're not New York State. I think that was
yeah.
the, yeah. So maybe in the past, maybe Fordham had been lightweights or
Yeah.
maybe there were other teams, but
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Well, that's too bad. No, I wasn't there. That's sad. That is sad.
yeah,
Yeah. And what year did you guys graduate?
I
I
was
was, yep.
2000.
And I was
2000.
2001.
2001. So you rode for like what, Adrian, you had one more year without me, and Katie, you had two.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So my
Yeah.
last year was the Meg year, and your last year was
Two Meg years.
two. Oh, yeah, two Meg years. So we
Yeah.
both missed. Did Rudy come after?
Yes. Yeah. Rudy.
Rudy came
Rudy
after
was
Meg.
after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rudy was my coach. I love Rudy. I did love Rudy.
Oh,
Rudy's a
because
good, he's a
coached
good.
at St. Catherine's. So that's
Yes.
how he was
Oh,
your coach.
Yes.
Okay.
I love him. I love
Yeah.
him. He cracks me up. I'll like to this day, I'll do my Rudy Wheeler impression. But like, now girls, don't come to me and tell me about your cramps. I need you to have a good day when I need you to have a good day.
Well, I
that's
think
awesome.
he did well with the team
Oh,
after we left because
Yeah.
I think he was there for a while
Yeah.
and they got fast.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
a good coach. He's a good technical coach, and he's got a good way about him. He's like, I
Hmm.
think he's very positive, but he's strict.
Hmm.
And Rudy would always make you put a rock in the front of his boat to weigh it down because he was a bigger
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
And girls, he's like, I know you're tired, but I'm noticing the rock is getting smaller and I am not. I love Rudy.
So you had to put a rock in your shell to keep
He,
you guys slower
we
or
had to
in
put a
his
rock
boat?
in his launch
oh,
in the
Okay.
front because he would sit in the back and it
And it
would
would
like
just,
tilt
oh,
up.
okay.
So we had to put a rock in the front to weigh it down for him.
Oh, and you guys just didn't want to have to lift a big one, so you were putting smaller.
Yeah, we
Okay.
probably just like got the smallest one we could find and put it in. But he was like, the rock is getting smaller and I am not.
Oh, that's great.
That was a good time rowing for St. Catharines. We drive with her twice a day, every day and row. Yeah,
yeah.
I
I know.
did that not to row, but this summer my daughter was in the Henley,
Oh
and
my gosh.
my sister-in-law lives in Buffalo near Sheridan Drive in
Okay.
Clarence, and so I did the
Mm,
back and forth, so I didn't have to do any
yeah.
kind of hotels. But yeah, that's I don't know how
Yeah.
bad the border was back then. It was a little, it seems to be a little
It,
slower now.
it was not bad at all because we would often just like slow to a roll and wave. Like,
Back in the day.
we'd be like, what's up? It's us again. What's up? Anything to declare? It's like, it's 5 a.m. and I'm going to Canada. Can I declare that? Like, it's me and Lisa would drive together. She'd be like, we're here. It's us again. Hey. Yeah, it wasn't super strict then. You could just
Hmm.
kind of roll. I mean, we were obviously like two 20-year-old girls driving back and forth. Although that
Yeah.
in retrospect maybe would have also been suspicious, but we were
Yeah.
just going to rowing practice,
We're going to rowing practice.
We're going to rowing practice.
Contraband all in the trunk.
I know.
Just
No
letting
one
you guys
ever
like
stopped
run
us.
back and forth between Canada and the States.
Seriously, like literally twice a day. And like we sometimes didn't even come to a full stop. We were just like, what's up? We're going. Bye. Like,
Wow.
You
yeah.
always forget that about Buffalo, that Buffalo and
Hmm.
Canada are so like, I think like other people don't, and even people in Rochester who are like 60 miles away don't understand the intimate connection between
Hmm.
Buffalo and like St.
Yeah.
Catharines. Like people are
Hmm.
going back and forth. So when people are like, oh, I'm going to move to Canada, I hate this states. I'm like, yeah, half the people who live in
Yeah.
St. Catharines work in Buffalo, and half the people in Buffalo work in
Yeah.
St. Catharines. Like,
Right. It's
Yeah.
like right
yeah,
there. It's
yep.
right
Hmm.
there. I know. I felt so sad though when that change happened. I mean, I don't want to begrudge Meg, but I felt like I was sad when that change happened because I felt like you
Hmm.
guys had worked hard and you were ready to take the next step. I felt like you guys were like
Hmm.
ready to take the next step for yourself. And I was like, now's the time. Get that big name in there that can
Yeah.
recruit some people who have experience. Like get that name where the parents are like,
Hmm.
yeah, like not this kid isn't coaching my, my daughter, or like a adult is coaching my daughter, And I was sad when it didn't happen. I felt like that was like a real disservice to all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, Meg, great person, but we were
Mhm.
definitely sad too. And we definitely heard, for some reason, the men's team had the inside scoop a lot, and they were sharing things with us about how certain people were lined up and it didn't work out, and getting us all
Yeah.
fired up and mad for no
Yeah.
reason.
I remember the applications, and I
Hmm.
think that they did try to get those people. I don't know what
Hmm.
happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember the story about me coming back at the end and trying to like tidy everything up for them because there wasn't a coach. I
No.
kind of came back to Buffalo to kind of like do the paperwork for the beginning of the season because there was no
Hmm.
coach. There was no one lined up. I had to like get the hotels and the
Oh my
buses
God.
and register for the regattas and everything. And I had a recruiting budget and I was like, I don't know what to do. I think I'm just gonna
Mm.
split this up amongst the girls.
Hmm.
So anyone who was varsity, I was like, I will just give them all just across the board,
Hmm.
like a flat amount to maybe keep them because right now there's no coach and like I don't want them
Yeah.
to quit. And I that was a tough day because none of you got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
know. I think you shared that story, or
Mhm.
somebody, I had known that
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was tough. It's just I felt like at least give them something because they're coming
Hmm.
into nothing right now. And at that
Yeah.
time, I didn't even know it was going to be Meg because there wasn't anybody. So I remember just
Yeah.
getting like the buses and the hotels and like the registration stuff done just to like you had that lined up. And
Yeah.
that was a tough day. I felt bad. I was like, oh, I feel
Oh,
bad for these guys. Like I feel, and it
I
was
felt,
really,
yeah.
yeah, it
I hope
was
they
the photo.
paid you.
Mhm. No,
Oh,
they
no.
didn't pay any of us girls. None of us.
Oh,
None of us. But it was like important to me. It was not only
yeah.
but it was my team. I had rode in the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Yeah.
that was my team. And it was
Yeah.
Alex's team and Joe's team.
Hmm.
Like it was important to me that I didn't just fall by the
Yeah.
wayside. So I was like, I'll come back and just get it done, and that way it'll
Hmm.
be at least lined up for whoever
Hmm.
it is. But I forget who it was. Someone named Marin. I remember her name was Marin. I think she was from Wisconsin. That was the person I think that they were looking at. I can't remember her last
I
name.
remember Wisconsin. Like when I think
Yeah.
about it, like I remember there was sometime during the summer. I don't know if I went up to UB because I was captain at the time, and they called me and they said, "Oh, we're interviewing somebody. If you have time to come up and just be there." And so I remember going, and I remember it being about Wisconsin. That was like something about Wisconsin, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't
and
know what happened.
pan out.
Which is, people take jobs different places. Maybe it wasn't the right
Hmm.
job for her. Who knows? Maybe who knows? I wasn't in
Hmm.
the the inner circle of that anymore. But I just felt bad for you guys to kind of have to deal with that after everything. Because I did. I felt like you guys were like you had some confidence. You were starting to
Hmm.
like get your groove on. I was like, that could be like a good team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
such is life.
that's kind of our side project, is to see if we can do anything to like get UB back on the map. And,
Yeah,
I would love it if the college would get behind it,
yeah. We
just,
did used to have like a pretty active alumni group, but then it kind of split and it went
yeah.
into two groups and they didn't really merge. At one point, UB sent someone out here to talk to me about
Oh,
starting it up.
Oh, okay.
I felt like what it was happening. I mean, it's this time of life is that I was part of the women's team and eventually only the men were coming to the events. And I was like,
Yeah.
and some of those men, the men, some of those
Hmm.
men were like not always the most gracious about the event. And I was like, well, I'm not running an event for you then if you're just going to complain. So I
Yeah.
stopped. So I
Yeah.
stopped doing it because I was like,
Yeah.
no one's coming. It's like none of my
Hmm.
people. Everyone, but we're happy. That's what happens to women. We get in our
Yeah.
families and we have babies and we can't leave.
Yeah.
And so, that was kind of a bummer. But maybe even starting with the alumni group would be a good starting place. To
Hmm.
get that support behind it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Adrien's gotten a little intel on what's going on with the team now, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Person from West Side that I got some rowing machines from, he said that there's something going on right now with like West Side running the Totowana Creek location.
Okay.
And the team, and I'm just like the assumption I'm making is something it was something about the insurance and the liability that they
Okay.
lost the last set of club coaches.
Hmm.
And so I think they're trying to skirt that. And this is, if West Side, I apologize if this is not, this is just my deduction here that potentially, like, if you put them underneath that West Side umbrella, like the organizational umbrella that West Side has, you can run other sites and be covered by US Rowing in a
Oh,
way that you can have West Side coaches go down there and be
right.
running the team, but the team can be kind of like a sub-organization underneath their like coverage umbrella.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's how they're trying to put all this back together, but
Because did men not have a team anymore either? Nobody has a
They
team.
went to club after they lost the varsity status. They went back to a joint club, I think. And
mhm,
then it
Mhm.
just, I think COVID just killed it,
Wiped it out.
you know.
yeah.
It's tough because if you think about it, Joe and Tom started. Joe, what's Joe's last name? I'm brain. Joe and Tom.
Krakowiak,
Yeah,
right?
Kukowiak and
Yeah.
Tom Mazzoni. They
Yeah.
started that club. They started it,
Yeah.
and like they just volunteered. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And Alex just volunteered. Like
Right.
that, the amount of time that they gave us was crazy. You know,
I
and it's
know.
like, I mean, I'm glad that it happened, but that was crazy. I think we paid $125 dues and we like rode for the whole
Hmm.
season. And we maybe paid for our hotels and we would stay at that crappy one in Augusta. It was $29 a night.
No, that's how much it cost.
Yeah, that's
I
how
mean,
much
I
it cost.
guess.
It was
Yeah.
29 and it had a micro fridge, 29 bucks a night.
The doors exited out into the parking lot. Like it was classy. It was super
Hmm.
classy.
It had the Cock and Bull Lounge. Remember, it had the Cock and Bull Lounge. It was never open, but always there.
Oh my God, that's right.
It was,
Oh boy.
but like, I mean, just to think of like, how could you recreate it? Because people can't volunteer like that really anymore. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
even legally, I feel like they don't let
yeah,
that happen. Or,
yeah,
you have to still fill out
Between safe
hours of
sport
paperwork
and
and safe
yeah.
right,
sport and
right. Just the travel
yeah.
alone is like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they put a lot of that out of their own pocket and whatnot. But yeah,
Wow.
maybe having the alumni be a bit more of a force and joining them together. I think the men
Yeah.
and the women were such a group together for so long, and then they
Yep.
split in a way. And I don't know how much of that. Again, I was really young, and there was like
Hmm.
Joe versus the school, and I think there
Yeah.
was a little bit of disagreement, and I think they kind of got apart after that a little bit from the administrative side. But it would be nice to bring that back together a little bit,
Hmm.
even just like a tent at Dad Vale.
Yeah.
We used to have a tent at Dad Vale. We always had
Yeah.
that, just like a barbecue and
Yep.
something small, but like something.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I think, yeah, once we know what's going on with the team, I would love to see some efforts in supporting them
Yeah, think
because,
about it. I married one
yeah,
of those jokers from the men's team. I
that's
married one of those
right.
jokers. And
That's
my
right.
married from the other joker. Like we all married each other. Like
Mhm.
Joe Krakowiak has brought us all together. Like we all married each other.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it brought a lot of people together, but now
Hmm.
we're all getting a little almost to retirement. Isn't that crazy? Coach Jim can
Hmm.
retire next year.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
Yes, he
gosh.
can. Yes, he
Wow.
can. He's getting there.
Wow.
He's
That's
getting there.
nuts.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
that would be a good thing. It might
Hmm.
maybe it just starts with like getting the alumni,
Hmm.
and it's hard when everyone's all over the place. But I'm in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. I could do something in Philadelphia. I could
Hmm.
run, Dad Vale or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Oh
Or
yeah,
something like
I'm
that.
near Saratoga, so we could definitely sponsor a tent and bring
Yeah.
some bagels for the rowers.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, and I think that's a nice thing for the rowers too to see
Yeah.
that they have like an alumni base. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Head of the Charles is always a fun time. It's a little bit
Hmm.
probably more pricey to do, but super
Hmm.
fun event for sure.
Yeah. Or even just
Yeah.
like getting people to volunteer for it is a fun thing.
Yeah.
They're always looking for volunteers, and some of our
Yeah.
masters will just go out and volunteer and
Yeah.
help park cars.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe even like, something that's simple that doesn't require people to travel and get their schedules together is like a newsletter. That's something
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
people feel a little bit, or, even, I mean, a Facebook page and social media,
Hmm.
whatever, but something where people can do it on their own time and they still feel, even if they don't read it, they
Hmm.
get it. And it's like a little bit of connection.
Yeah. Yep.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? Trying to go back through the. I think I still have a file folder of like all the original information somewhere.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Wendy, I just
awesome.
remember, I don't know where we were going. I remember being in the car with you once and you memorized everybody's home address and you were like, quiz me. And I'm like, all right, what's my parents' names? Bill and
Oh,
Joanne. Where do
Joanne!
they live?
Oh God, I don't know that one
I
anymore.
won't give the address here, but you knew
That's
it.
so
You had
funny.
it.
Isn't that so funny? My brain
Yep.
does my brain does not work like that anymore. I hate to tell you.
My
I'm like,
favorite
yeah,
story was when we were at like a team dinner and we told the waitress that it was your anniversary.
Oh,
And so they came
yes.
out and did like I don't know if they brought out a cake or something or if they just sang happy anniversary. Like we were like
that
all like
story.
yeah, we were all like laughing hysterically. And I think this was before you guys told us that you guys were together. And so we were just kind of like
That
playing
was
a
the
joke.
first so Jim and I had been friends since I was, 18. We had been friends forever and we'd then worked together and I brought him over to work with us. And we had gotten to in a big argument that night. I don't know, the day before we had gotten to a big argument about rowing. Because remember Coach Mike Smith?
Oh yeah.
Coach Mike Smith was supposed to bring the hitch for the trailer and he didn't show up. And I was like, "Oh my God, we got to go get the hitch. Can one of you guys get the hitch and I'll coach my team and one of you guys can coach your team?" And they were like, "No, Mike is your coach and he messes up. So you get the hitch." I was like, "Guys, I have my team. Like I have to, whatever." And they're like, "No, too bad." So I coached you guys really quick, ran off, whatever. So bottom line is we're in this big fight. We're like, I'm like, big
Hmm.
fight or whatever, the whole way down to where we were going to Rome, New York.
Oh yeah.
The
Yep.
whole way down, he's playing it up. Everyone loves Coach Jim. He's so nice. Wendy's the miserable witch in the corner. And I was like sitting
Oh.
by myself, like with Mike Smith. Me and Mike Smith like sat alone at dinner because no one would sit with us. And I was like, now I'm stuck with this idiot. Like, and sorry, Mike Smith. Mike Smith invasion, personal space invasion. Um, and so that night I was like, "Hey, can you come talk to me in my room?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Listen, I know we're fighting. I just don't want to fight with you. It feels terrible. I don't care." Like, and he's like, "No, I was wrong, blah, blah, blah." We like both apologized to each other. And then we began dating that night.
Wow.
And then the next day, you guys had the staff come and sing us an anniversary song. And then that night we went home and I won't tell the whole story, but that night we went home and there was an issue at my apartment and I was screaming and because there were some maggots in my trash can. And he came to help
Oh.
me and cleaned up my whole house and whatever. But my neighbors called the police because they heard me screaming. And so then that night, the police had nice young Jim up against the wall for domestic abuse.
Oh my God.
Like,
Oh
welcome to
jeez.
life dating me. It was a really,
Oh man.
really busy 24 hours of like,
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
wow, this is so, yeah, that whole 24-hour period, we got together. And then after that, we always shared a hotel room. And it took you guys a while to kind of figure out that we were sharing a hotel room. Like we just shared the room.
It's like, yeah, the coaches just stay together, right? Totally oblivious.
You'd be like, "Oh, you have to meet with your team. Okay, I'll step out." Just like I don't think I hid my stuff. I think I just left it in there. And I was like, "Okay, I'll step out. You meet with your team." And we were like,
Yeah.
one day you guys like, "Are you guys sharing a room?" We were like, "Yeah, yeah, we're sharing a room." And we were like,
That's
you
awesome.
know who I
That's
think about
great.
often? You know the person I think about the
Yeah.
most often? Or like, where is that person? Remember Skippy?
Yes.
Fred,
Skip. Fred.
Skip, Fred. I
Yes.
was like, where was Fred? That kid was going places, you know?
I don't know what happened.
What happened to him?
I don't know. The funny story with him for me is that when I came home afterwards and started working around here, actually I'm up the hill in Troy and I was working down the hill in Troy at a different college and I was meeting somebody through the alumni network that works here, didn't doesn't work here anymore, but was working here at RPI. And we met and we realized she went to high school with Skip and she was at the same house party that I was at. I don't know, Adrian, if you were there, but Skip was
No.
babysitting a house sitting, and had this blowout party at the house. And
Was
yeah,
it
we
at a
realized,
lake or was that his
yeah,
parents' house? Yeah. Yeah, it was on a
yeah,
lake. Yeah,
it was
yeah,
on the lake. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah, I forget.
on oh God, Grand Island.
Grand
So
Island.
like
Um,
faced wasn't the lake,
Like
right?
some
What would
kind of
that be?
water. Yeah, I can remember
Niagara
being
River.
somewhere with him at
Yeah.
a party. Skip and I actually went on a road trip together
Oh,
because we both got pulled over and had parking tickets. We had got speeding tickets. We had to go to court for it. So we went to court together in Avoca, New York, which
oh
was
my
quite a
God.
trip. And we had a
wow.
whole day that we drove. We went to lunch. We like hung out. Me and Skip had a whole day together,
Wow. Where is
which is
that?
bizarre. Avoca, it was on the way to Philadelphia. We were driving to Philadelphia and we all got
Mm.
pulled over.
Oh boy.
And for whatever reason, Jim got a ticket too. We were each driving vans, and Jim got a ticket, Mike got a ticket, but me and Skippy had to go to court.
No, that's
And
not fair.
yeah, for some reason, and it was like kind of this really small court, very,
Mm.
the guy was kind of like, give me $100, we'll make this go away. And I was like, okay, sure. And I walked out, I'm like, Skip, did he make you pay me cash? And Skip was like, no, I had a trial. I'm like, oh, he made me pay him in cash. And we're like, let's go to lunch.
You can't get any of these
Oh, we
adventures
should find out
outside of
where he's.
rowing, you know?
No. I'll have to find out what happened to Skip. That's another side mission that we'll
I
have.
know. Just kind of, I was just felt like Skip was going places. That kid was going places. I was
Hmm.
like, well, I would never, you told me anything. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Whatever he was saying, like 100%, 100%. Whatever it was,
Yeah.
he was going to be fine. Like no matter what happened, that kid
Hmm.
was going to be fine.
Yeah.
Some kids you're worried about. Skip was like,
Hmm.
fine. Um, but you guys had somebody marry each other, right? Courtney and John married each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Courtney
from
and John.
Rowing. That was a group.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody else though, right? And Katie,
Yeah,
Katie and
Katie.
Katie.
Yeah.
Katie and
Yep.
Katie. So yeah,
I'm
so
trying to
just a
think
couple
anyone else.
success stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I married a rower, but not through UB.
Not very
Through
big.
He rode for Canisius actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you have that. Does he still row?
No, actually, so my daughter rows, my son rows now, and Chris wants to stay as far away as he can from rowing, I think. So he picked up
Yeah.
another hobby, so it keeps him busy. But he does play bagpipes. That's his new hobby, at some regattas. So
Wow. There you
yeah.
go. Yeah. So I can appreciate wanting to like. It's not that you
Yeah.
don't like it. It's almost like I can
Hmm.
never do rowing like that again.
Hmm.
Like that to me is different than like recreational rowing. Like that's a
Yeah.
different thing. I'm like that I can't do, but I don't want to do the middle thing. I just have
Yeah.
to be like I have to be like going like margarita rows, like
Hmm.
you
Yep.
like what that kind of thing. Just like chilling out. Maybe I'll row one of those big gigs, you know what I mean, or whatever. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, like the coastal rowing, is that what you're talking about? Or
Anything, just something, but
Mhm.
we talked about that, Adrian, about doing
Yeah.
that across Lake Ontario.
Lake
So we
Ontario,
might
yeah.
recruit you for that
there you go.
someday.
All
Oh,
right, I'm
that'd be
in.
so
I'm in.
awesome. Like a UB fundraiser to row
Oh
across
my
Lake
God,
Ontario in
yes.
a
Wouldn't that be
coastal boat.
great?
Oh my
That'd be
gosh.
awesome. I'll do it. I'm in. I'll do it
All right.
100%.
All right.
We need one more.
One
I
more
could
and
I
we're
could get
good.
Jim. I'll get Jim will do it. Yeah, Jim
Okay,
will do it.
good.
But you know what? Scratch that. He needs to eat so much. It'll be counterproductive.
Oh, yeah.
He'll every minute he's gonna have to stop and give him a sandwich. He'll be like, oh, come
Mm.
on, again with this guy. Again with this guy. Sandwiches. He still eats so much. He still eats so much food. It's never ending. I don't even travel with him. When we go out for like tournaments, we travel a lot for volleyball. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. You got to watch the dogs and you eat too much. I got to go. I'm going. Like, it's too expensive to bring you. You just eat too much.
Yeah.
This is baby.
Well, say hi for us.
I will. I
Yeah.
will. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what you guys do. I feel like it was, it's sad to see it all just go away. I feel like that,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it
definitely.
was a thing for that school. Like, I mean, that's a huge school. Someone said to me,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I was never in a sorority. And they're like, yeah, you were. You were on the rowing team. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it was very like positive outlet of, it wasn't
Hmm.
like, it was a positive activity that like so many people could be in, and it's
Yeah.
guys and girls together. And it was just like, it was fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's tons of fun. It's just a lot of work, a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Well, and you made me I don't even remember all the work that we put in, apparently. It's like a distant memory.
Oh, is that trauma? Does that mean it was traumatic?
Well, I don't know.
You're like, it was great. And you're like, wait a minute. Flashbacks,
Flashback.
flashbacks, flashbacks.
You lightweights did a bunch of stuff that like I don't think I did.
Yeah.
So
I can remember you guys saying, "Did we do something bad?" And I was like, "No, why?" You're like, "This is how you punished us last time." And I was like, "See how much stronger you are. This is just a regular day for you guys now.
Yeah.
See how much better you are."
Resilience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
just a Monday for you guys. It was your punishment, but now it's Monday.
Just Monday. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
yeah. You guys worked hard. You should, if it
Hmm.
felt hard, it's because it was really hard. You did the same workouts I did, and I was training for like
Mm.
other things. So I just did the workout one day ahead of you, so I knew what it was like.
Well,
wow.
that's nicer than having
Yeah,
us do it first, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. No,
So thank you.
I did it one day ahead. I needed to like have it. Once I was coaching you through it, I couldn't be anticipating it. So I did it one day
Mm.
ahead.
Hmm.
And then I kind of knew like the mental game of it. You know what I mean? Like
That's
the
smart.
mental game and kind of knew
Hmm.
where we were at. And then I could kind of try to anticipate some of the pitfalls of it when it came
Yeah.
through.
I think
Yeah.
my best erg test was under you.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think it was that junior, because that would have been my junior year. I think that
Yeah.
was and we went to Crash Bees
Oh gosh, Crash
Oh
Bees.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah.
Back in the day, Crash Bees. Crash
That's
Bees.
far to travel for Crash
That
Bees.
is. It was like drove to
Yeah.
Boston. And like if I recall, I never saw anything but the inside of that gym and I just got back in the car and drove back to
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like, did we stay overnight?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Like I would have
I
put it past like because I'll do crazy stuff like that now. I'll be like, oh, I'll drive about 6 hours, stay somewhere for an hour, and I'll drive back. And people are like, where did you learn like this crazy? I'm like, I
yeah.
was rowing.
Yeah, no,
Where
we
you
did
wake
that.
up extra early, go to a
Yeah.
regatta, and then just like,
Just come back.
who cares if it's
Come
4:30
on
and the
back.
sun's going down and you got a 7 hour drive? Get in the car.
100%. Oh, hold on, let me decline. That's my sister calling me. Oh, there you go. Sorry. Um,
Oh,
yeah, 100%. Oh, did you get me
frozen.
again? Here I am. Here
There
I
you
Oh,
are.
you're
am.
good.
Sorry. My sister's calling me. Yeah, I think because we were also like at some point, in between going varsity and being close, like we paid for it ourselves. So I think we were probably
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you guys had the civilized version. It was there were crazy stuff that happened. Even crazy. Like Todd forgot to tie one of the boats down, and it flew off the back of the trailer, and they found it on the
Oh.
highway. That boat was
Oh.
4 days old. It was for a brand new boat.
Oh, we have
Oh
to
my
ask him.
God.
We're recording with
Fluid.
him on
Oh
Sunday,
my God,
so
yeah. Went flying off the back of the boat. Like
oh.
me and Jen Russo were in a car crash, rolled the car, totaled it. They threw us in the back
Oh.
of another car, took us to the race.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Like literally the car rolled and tumbled and was totaled, and they just put us in another car and took us to the race.
Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy.
Crazy, crazy, just crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Crazy. And Alex used to be our driver, and he would be
Mhm.
always angry with us and not let us get out of the van because people would act up, and
Wow.
we acted up a lot. Some of the things from that time I still say out loud that we crack up. There's a couple of things that like still to this day make me laugh all the time. Just the things that people said. Alex,
Yeah.
Rowan, remembered Rowan in the Niagara River? Like it was like all those ice when they'd let the ice boom up and there was like ice chunks floating in the boat. Like you'd be like dodging ice or they'd be breaking it up with a oar and like a blowtorch. Crazy
Well,
stuff.
I
Wow.
do remember my freshman year was we were still at West Side and the men's team had issues. They like got stranded on the
Oh yeah.
rocks. Yeah. And
Remember when Jim fell in?
well, I think that might have been the time because I remember I was in the union. We had all survived our practice fine. And then I'm in the union getting something like, I don't know, some breakfast or something. And I see Matt Ryan and he's like, we almost died today.
Yeah.
And then he tells us the
Yeah.
story. And they
Yeah.
did because every time I think it was Jim in the launch, he was trying to
Yes.
save people. The launch kept
He got
sinking.
I
Yes.
remember the story. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
And
then,
I had left you guys early that day. So I had got you guys to the dock and then been like, Adrian and Kristen, you guys got to like get him back in. I had to run to a meeting. So I had to like get back to you before this like big meeting. And when I got back, there was just phone call after phone call. And it was like, don't talk to the news. Hey, we're just making sure you're okay. Please let us make a statement to the news when they call. I was like, what? And then I get a coach call from Jim. We're in the hospital. Everybody's okay. Like just, and I was like, what? I left him on the dock. I left him on the dock. What happened? So I didn't know for a while that it wasn't you guys because I had
yeah,
like left. It was, before cell phones were like a thing for
right.
everybody. And
Yeah.
so I'm just getting phone calls from like Nan Harvey and the president, like Den Black, like being like, please don't make a statement to the media. And then media calling me. I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah. But the problem is they sunk and
Hmm.
the walls were cement, so they couldn't get out. Like they were
Ugh.
cement wall, so they were in there, and like one kid got thrown out. Two kids jumped in to save them, and then they
Yeah.
got to the launch and submerged the launch.
Oh my God.
Everybody was in. Oh,
Yeah. And
it
they
was
all
crazy. They
survived.
all
Yeah.
survived. I
They're
think
all
Mike
okay.
Smith made the final. Mike Smith ran and got like the launch and came and picked him up. It's crazy. The Coast Guard
Ugh.
came. The Coast Guard
Oh
came.
my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, the Coast Guard just
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that is the
Oh,
sport,
no.
right? I mean, we
Yeah.
take it for granted when everything goes right 99.9% of the time. And
Uh-huh.
then, we had something in our high school team this past spring where one of the boys' quads hit a bridge. Um, and they were in the water. They were acted fast, the coaches were there, got
Right.
them out, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
scary.
It's like, and there's, you can't have 8 life jackets, I mean, maybe you
Yeah.
should, but you can't. That's what
Hmm.
Alex, I don't want to throw him under the bridge, but Alex said to our coxswain time, he goes, you see that white thing, sweetheart, in the water? It's not a cloud. It's not a marshmallow. It's a piece of ice. If you hit it, 7 of you are going to die. I'm not saving you. Like, what? Like, as
Yeah.
you're rowing, you're like, I hope he likes me. I hope he saves me.
Jeez.
It's
Oh
real,
man.
we're like
Yeah.
rowing in
Yeah.
ice floes with like a millimeter thick poly, plexiglass or whatever they're called, carbon fiber shell. If it
Mhm.
Yeah.
hits, you're done.
Well, in the Tonawanda Creek, I just remember the challenge of being, because it was in the morning, it was dark, foggy, ice
Debris.
chunks,
Yes.
Mhm.
and
And like
no
like
lights.
submerged trees. Remember like
Yeah.
submerged, a lot of
Yep. I
submerged
think we got stuck on a
trees.
tree once.
Yes.
And I think Jim
Yeah.
had to help like had to get like half in the launch, half out of the launch and was like
Uh-huh.
shoving the boat off the tree.
I
Yeah.
remember that very well because it was like I remember it was kind of a new boat and Joe was very upset with us for that.
Mm.
Joe was like, "What are you doing? You need to watch your team." I was like, "Joe, it
You
can
didn't do
only
it
be
on
one
purpose.
place." Yes, no one's trying to willfully break these things. It happens. That's why we have insurance, Joe. It's like it'll be okay.
We're
Walk
gonna
her through
have to
something.
get you on another
Yeah.
podcast at one
Oh
point.
my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Part two.
Or two or three.
I gotta hear
Or you
like what
might
your
just have to
guys'
join
race
Roaring
and
Friends now. So we're just gonna send you we'll send you a link every week. Just come on.
come on, I'll be the third commentator.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, thank you
Gosh.
so much for joining us,
Yeah.
Wendy.
Thank
Oh my
you for
God.
It
having
was
me. I'm
fun
so
catching
glad to
up.
see you guys. I'm glad you
Yeah.
don't I'm glad that it's not too traumatic to talk to me after all of that. And
No, no. Oh my
Oh,
you know,
goodness.
it's
like
not
you
too
said,
much.
maybe it's just locked in here and slowly it'll come back, but I don't remember much of that.
Yeah, I remember
Good.
having
I'm
fun
glad.
and being
I'm
the
glad.
best.
I'm glad.
So
I mean, I
Hmm.
wanted you to be, if nothing else, you guys were going to be strong. So that's what you
Yep.
were. So
Hmm.
I
Thank
prepared you
you.
for childbirth.
That's true. I mean, yes,
mhm.
that rowing is such a preparation for life. All of our trials and tribulations, we're more
Right.
resilient because of it. So,
Yes, very true. Very
yep.
true. Compared to that. All right, guys. It was so nice to see you.
You
Oh my
too.
God.
Yeah.
Take care.
And
All
let me know what
right.
you guys need to do about alumni or what. I'm happy to help. Okay.
Okay, great.
Sounds
Awesome.
amazing.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
Thank
guys.
Take
you.
care. Have a great rest of the week.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.